Welcome, foolish mortals, to Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain. I am your host, Count Simon Gauntly, and each episode I'll be leading you on a journey through the history of film. Specifically, we'll be exploring that eldritch abyss known as the public domain. These are films forgotten by time or abandoned by their creators. The strange, the horrifying, the poorly and cheaply produced. All of these are the purviews of the public domain. So what are we waiting for? Come, join me in my crypt. It's bigger on the inside. Come, join me.
There lived a man so long ago, Count Gauntly was his name. His horror host abilities had brought him wide acclaim. The people flocked from miles around each Gauntly movie night, not knowing that the films he showed infringed on copyright. Upon discovering this fact and learning it was true, an angry mob of lawyers formed with pitchforks, torches too. They tracked the Count and sought to stop his movie hosting ways, and torches blazing put an end to Gauntly's earthly days. But our man was too resilient to let death be the last word. He sat up upon his slab and vowed he must be heard. So he stocked his tomb with gadgets from the local studio, intent on showing movies on an awesome TV show. But he had to find a legal way, so Gauntly racked his brain. 'Twas then he learned of something called the public domain. Now here he is, the time has come, his dreams are coming true. Count Gauntly's here to share a film in hopes that you won't sue.
Faith and Begorra, and welcome to Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain. We're celebrating St. Paddy's in a way that we haven't before. We had sort of a semi-official one that we did back in our very first March episode, but now we're actually out traversing the Emerald Isle and we're following the rainbow to its end. And what are we hoping to find, Blizzard Wizard?
Well, for starters, we're hoping to find a leprechaun, a real deal leprechaun.
And by extension, what?
I guess gold. I'm in it for the little magical men.
Well, maybe we'll find some of those. Regardless of what else we find, I'll bet there'll be some little people in there. So lead on, Blizzard Wizard, and let's see what we can find here.
Alrighty.
Oh, the rainbow's coming down over there.
Okay.
Ireland, the land of legend, of romance and ruins, of shamrock and Shannon, of banshee and blarney stone, where peat smoke from humble cottages curls like a magic mist high over the countryside. I'm not long for this world. 'Tis here that the fairy folk still play, and that the wee men, known as leprechauns, still live and work, hidden away in their underground cobbler shops, making shoes to give to the poor. Tis the 4th night of the 7th moon. Time for the ceremony of washing our gold. Let's hoist the crock of gold from its secret hiding place. Paddy, go fetch the tub of soap and water. Heave ho, me lads, and up she comes. without his gold is like a man without a soul.
Or a race without a goal.
Or a hearth without a coal.
Or a donut without a hole. Faith, there's no potatoes in the stew. No potatoes?
Where are you going with that gold coin?
I was going to spend it on some spuds.
Spend it.
The lad's daft.
That he is, that he is.
What's the good of the gold if you can't spend it?
Have you forgotten the law of the leprechauns? When a leprechaun gets caught, the rest of the clan must give up their pot of gold so he can be set free. That's why we need our gold. And don't you forget it. And as for the spuds, sometimes the widow O'Leary leaves a few on her doorstep just for us leprechauns.
Let me go if she's left any spuds tonight. I'll let the lad go. He's old enough now.
Now get along with you, lad. And mind you, don't get caught.
Whist! Fireflies! Can you spare us a bit of a light? Ah, there's the widow's house. Nice and quiet like too. Please, Mr. Gambin.
Your wailing ain't going to help you, Widow O'Leary. I've come to collect the 10 pieces of gold you on your mortgage. Or out you go.
But I've nary a gold piece in the house. Please give me time.
So it's time you want. Mind you, I'll be back at the crack of dawn for me money.
'Tis sad I am for those poor folks. Our pot of gold would help them, sure. And Paddy's the laddie to see that it does.
Oh, who may you be?
I'm Paddy, leprechaun first class. Your worries are over, Miss,
Molly.
Molly. Here, catch me, and you've got a leprechaun. Then you can pot of gold.
Leprechaun indeed. Get on with you and your blarney.
Bedad, that's a human creature for you. I've got it. Oh, me leg. Oh, I fell off the window and busted me poor little leg.
Oh, the dear little lad.
Oh, 'tis to me home you must help me, Molly. I couldn't be walking by myself with me poor little leg all smashed to smithereens.
What's keeping the lad?
I'm hungry.
When do we eat? Here he comes now. Well, it sure looks like Patrick.
Oh, me poor little leg.
Worra.
It's caught I am by Molly O'Leary, and we're honor bound to give her our pot of gold. Here you are, Molly.
See? Then you really are a leprechaun. Oh, thank you kindly. finally.
Well, it ain't so bad when our gold goes to poor folks like the O'Learys.
The sun's a-rising. It's time to go to the widow O'Leary's. Glory be. Molly O'Leary with a pot of gold. The top of the morning, Molly. So you're ready to pay for the mortgage. Well, there now. It's all paid up. But the price has gone up to a full pot of gold.
But that's just plain stealing.
Let's tag behind. Now watch, Molly. Leprechaun gold never stays with him that steals it. Shackles, coin, Mazuma. And it's all mine. Mine! 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 Out, help! Help!
Wara, 'tis a sad day. Aye, 'tis a pity.
The mortgage is settled, so please take back your gold.
Here's the potatoes.
Oh, hey, Blizzard Wizard. Look over there. It's the leprechaun. I see him. But he's standing pretty stiffly there.
I don't
Hello,
think
sir. I
don't think so. I think he's just a sculpture. This is one of my-
Sculpture?
Yeah, you won't get much gold from this one. He's one of my many creations, as you can see before.
Oh, wow. I just came in and I didn't even notice all these works here. So,
That's right.
guess there's no gold, Blizzard Wizard.
Man, well, I refuse to take no for an answer. I'm going to keep looking.
All right, you got a headlamp there that you can strap on?
I guess so.
There we go. Now you'll be a spelunking official there. There it is. Okay, well, you keep up the good fight. And I'm actually curious about this stuff around here, sir. I know I just barged into your home, but who might you be?
I'm Jack Lanouette. I'm a soft sculptor. It may not be gold, but hopefully you'll find it interesting anyway.
Sure. So I'm Count Gauntly, by the way.
Very nice to meet you.
Purveyor
sir.
of all things public domain, sharer of old films and spooky cinema, and kooky decorations. So I feel right at home here. Do you think it's because you're making the art down here that there's rainbows blasting out of your cave?
That could be possibly it. Maybe some other magical vibes or something like that you're getting.
Magical vibes is what Gauntly is all about. So
Yes.
yeah, you mentioned soft sculptures.
Yes. I specialize in soft sculpture, props, and display. It's foam. It's all upholstery soft foam. So we start with a pattern. You can create anything from monsters to Santa Clauses, or, it's great for props, costumes, things like that. These are some of my Halloween things. Besides the leprechaun, he's more of a St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, he's apropos
design.
at this time of year.
Yeah, but so it's foam. Here we got the blob here. So we've got like a soft foam with a coating, and then airbrushed.
Or you can put that up on top of a mushroom base or something.
Yeah, or if you could get an animatronic, it could follow, go around with a little slime behind it or something like that.
Wow.
So let me show you. This is the type of foam that I use. So basically, I start out with, you can get this at any Joann's Fabrics.
Cool.
I start out with a pattern, which just on paper. And then from there, I glue it. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't bring the giant compressor and everything to this Dominion here. I
Yeah,
have it
it's
at my
further
other
back in the cave. Yeah.
But so what I'll do is cut out the pieces and then glue them together. Now I use an industrial spray adhesive, but you can use hot glue, spray glue, or rubber cement or something like that. Basically, you get both sides, you glue it all together, and then once you have your shape, this is same foam, same kind of foam, but it's like a skin, and that's where you see how you can get the cheeks and everything to look like it's one piece as opposed to little bits glued on. But you can really get creative by, for example, lips. You could cut the corner off of that. See that little, the edge there, how it's kind of beveled? You glue it on, and then when you stretch, so let me kind of show you here. You take his face, take the skin. See how then right there how it kind of absorbs
the forms underneath.
Yeah. So
and then do you heat it, or what causes it to?
So what I'll do is I'll spray. You can see there's a little bit of overspray there. Spray. You always have to get both sides. I put it over, and then what'll happen is then you'll have excess. So it does take a little bit of practice. You cut that excess off. So you just sort of stretch it as much as you can until you can't stretch it, and then you cut the excess off, and then you'll glue that, and then from there I have a plastic coating which comes in a big pail. It's called Jack Sand, actually. It's an acrylic latex base, and then you brush that onto the raw foam. Now my oldest pieces were just painted foam. But when I started to learn a little bit more, that's when I got into different techniques, and I started airbrushing too more recently. And there's a progression. This is an older piece. The brain here.
Hoist that over.
Alien brain. Yeah, let's.
Best you can.
Now he's only hand painted because that was before I got into airbrushing.
Wow.
But there's lots of different techniques you can employ. They're great for, you can make puppets, props, costumes.
So how'd you get into this? What put you on the path to puppetry and soft sculpture?
Funny story, I actually, when I was a kid, I saw an article in World Magazine, a kids magazine from National Geographic, about a company that did it. They were called Geppetto Studios, based out of Brooklyn, and they made props and fun things. And I was always kind of artistic. I think I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and I saw this, and it was big and bright and colorful and whimsical and everything. And I'm like, I was thinking, wow, that could really be fun. I want to try that. So we went to a fabric store, got some foam. I made my mom buy foam at the fabric store, and then I just played with it. And over the years I kind of figured out how you can shape it, and like I said, back then I used a scissors and hot glue gun. I was always burning my fingers. And then college, I went to college for sculpture, and then after college I went to go work for that company, Geppetto Studios out of Brooklyn, and there I learned honed my skill, learned some new techniques and stuff, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's great. What about any sort of academic type training, schooling?
Yeah, I didn't learn any of this in college. I went to VCU for sculpture, the sculpture department, but I had already kind of knew how to do this.
Okay.
Didn't do it so much in high school. It was really kind of early years in college that I got back into it, because I did it when I was a kid and then kind of got out of it in high school and then got back into it. But then, no, it's just basically, I learned a lot more, though, working at Geppetto Studios than I did in college. I sort of, learned better ways, working for them, learned better ways to do what I already did. Like also the materials, the spray, that's where I learned about the spray glue rather than the hot glue, or the coating to coat the raw foam. airbrush. I didn't learn how to airbrush there, but he recommended airbrushing. So it's sort of like this sort of the evolution of how I did it kind of improved and learned some special techniques and whatnot. So.
Wow. So what kind of things were you making at the Geppetto studio?
Well, he does same, I can move
Yeah,
him.
I was going to gravitate him back to his home.
Sounds good. They do a much larger scale of, than I do, but similar, props, display, costumes. They do a lot more costumes. So it could be anything to like a Broadway or off-Broadway show to what I worked on a lot towards the end of my stay there was stuff for the David Letterman show, costumes. Their Halloween special, the kids come out dressed as, these ridiculously funny Halloween costumes. Like one was a trash can, one was rotten pad thai, just random stuff. So that's what we did a lot of these costumes for the David Letterman show. But they've done stuff like the King Kong wall when the King Kong movie came out, the premiere party. It wasn't for the movie exactly, but it was a prop for the premiere party. It just depends on who bids, depending on the job they might bid on. We did things for Nickelodeon plays there on Broadway. Some of those furry creatures, like there was a rabbit and a guinea pig and things like that. So.
When you did go to sculpture school, what was that experience like?
That's kind of funny, I am not really into abstract art or the deeper meaning of it. I mean, my things are by no means realistic. They're very whimsical, and they do have, especially the creatures, have like a crazy kind of, evocative look to them, but they did not much care for a lot of my stuff because there was no deeper meaning. If they couldn't, it's funny, people would come in with something that you totally could tell they just whipped off the night before. And they would, an hour about, it's this, and it makes me think about the state of America and the angst of, whatever it was. Then they get to mine like, it's just a leprechaun. It's like, it's just a leprechaun. There's a piece of loose fabric back there. What does that mean? And that's just kind of how my critiques. We'd have a project with a few loose guidelines. We'd have about a month to work on it, and then we'd bring it in for a critique. So often or not, people would often attack me in these critiques about, because it didn't mean anything. But I wasn't looking to have my things in a gallery setting. I wanted to do, props for haunted hay rides or, costumes. I do a huge Halloween display where it's a walk through and you walk through and look, there's different scenes where I have these creatures, in the yard or in the graveyard, in trees and whatnot. And then again at Christmas, I do a big display with tons of lights and gingerbread houses and elves and whatever. And there is no deeper meaning. I do want to bring back that childhood feeling of how exciting Halloween and Christmas is. Or, when you're a kid and you look through one of those little Halloween books, or you see a Halloween display and there's a graveyard and a haunted house, and you remember how excited you would feel when you're a kid and you see that kind of thing. Well, I want people to kind of feel that when they're walking through, like they're in one of those fun, it wasn't like a super terrifying thing. It was like that Halloween fun feeling. So I guess that's as deep as I go, but it has nothing to do with, the White House and the angst of, there's no deeper meaning. It's just fun. It's fun.
That's what I like too. If you look on my resume, you'll see not very realistic. That's bullet point number 1 under special skills and certifications. It's not very realistic and no deeper meaning. So.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and actually it was through touring your Polar Acres display this past year that I became aware of your whole oeuvre, your field of work here. Gauntly does occasionally make a foray or above ground. And I was really taken with what you had on display, and so I had to, touch base, see if I could entice you to the crypt, or as the case may be, wander into your art-making cave.
Absolutely. The art-making cave is quite crowded, as you probably experienced for yourself. However, it is definitely a place where a lot of interesting things happen. So at some point, you're definitely welcome to get a bigger tour of that and sort of see the process as it goes.
Up close.
And there's a lot of stuff in there. And unfortunately, in this cave, that Halloween has to kind of share with Christmas. So,
hey, I've got a storage cave. I know all about that. And actually, I was wondering, what is the storage situation?
Well, basically, it's all on site at my home, so I don't pay for storage anywhere. So I have dedicated my basement and part of my garage. The garage I don't put as much art in there because I don't want these anywhere that's going to get super hot. It's kind of have to be climate controlled. And preferably not tons of sunlight. So the basement is pretty much for the art. Then I have some other stuff in the garage or whatever, but no secrets. Just, you have to know, you have to be willing to make some sacrifices in other areas. I couldn't have a gym down in my basement or a wine cellar or, whatever else. These guys are all down there, but.
I feel you. I have a video rental store recreated in my basement, so I do pay for some storage. And it can become a problem. You have to give your life to it. So you do these big displays at holiday time. What does your usual calendar look like? When do you start it all up? When does the machine rev up?
It's differed over the years, but generally now, at the end of the year, like kind of end of summer, maybe, mid to late September, I really kind of start slowly. It's like a big thing where you kind of got to grind the gears and get the momentum going, and it just sort of snowballs. So it's like I might start in early September with Halloween. Sometimes I could be starting to make something if I have any new ideas or make a few things to sell. I do these candy corns. They're, yay high, and they light up. Their eyes and mouth light up like candy corno-lanterns, I call them. Kind of like a jack-o'-lantern, but it's, they have faces. And, so I'll have certain things like that in stock. Then, putting the houses together. I don't do a lot of houses, but I have a little witch shack that I put out, so I've got to kind of put that all back together. And then it kind of goes a little slowly, but then once things start to come together, then it's faster. But then for Christmas, that's kind of the stressor. It's like the minute Halloween ends, I got to get it down as fast as I can, because then Christmas has to come out. So that time between Halloween, November 1st and December, I think December 8th, the 6th, I believe, is when I had my official Polar Acres opening this year. So that time is pretty, swamped. And I also work as a personal trainer, so I'm kind of trying to arrange my clients on certain days, because when I'm setting up and making things, you just need to have the whole day to work. You can't do an hour here, an hour there. You've got to use the momentum, because sometimes I'll start very slowly, and then I just really have to, use that whole day without interruption to kind of, whether it's setting up or working on a sculpture or whatever the case may be. But I can't like come home tired from work on it for 2 hours, and then go do something else. I mean, I kind of got to start at the beginning and then just use the whole day to kind of snowball.
How many pieces do you have on site, would you say?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I'd have to do an inventory. And every year my goal is to, add something new, have something new to show. So he was the clown was the newest one, at least out of these three at Halloween. This is Blozo. He was probably the newest one. He's about to
He's on the move.
Yeah, he's about to try to escape. There we go. He's made to be staked up. So.
Oh yeah. So how do you attach these things into the ground? What's the general
So they
strategy?
have their armature is just hollow pipes that attach their arms, and then basically what I do is hammer some stakes into the ground, and then they'll slide right down over top of that. So I would say about maybe about 50 pieces that I've made. Again, I have a lot of old ones that, I just don't have the heart to get rid of. They're kind of like your children. It's like, or like you feel like God or something. Creating whatever. But you just, and I have ones that have no coating, no plastic coating on them. It's just straight foam spray painted.
Oh, do you have an example of one that doesn't have the skin on it?
Oh yeah. So this is actually a perfect. Well, this does have the skin. This is.
No
but this
paint
is a
yet, though.
perfect example. Well, this is a very old one. So what it was is, it did have the spray paint. It was just raw foam spray painted. But again, it starts to flake after a while. So I actually put the skin on. So this is what it looks like without the, kind of new without the plastic coating. I put the skin on it to try to save it. So basically, this was before I learned about that skin technique. Now you can also use spandex or fur. A lot of you can see his hair, like on the leprechaun, the hair that he's got there. Sometimes I'll put that over a whole creature. So there's different techniques you can employ, but this is, eventually, again, I'm not very good when it comes to refurbing my own work. I tend to just make something new. But I would love to, but some of my old ones, I could fix them up a little bit. So he got the skin, and then eventually he has a body too, but I was just working. It was a ghost, and he has kind of a cloth body. So I'm going to redo the head and everything, and then he'll get the coating and new paint and airbrush and everything. But that's, kind of what it would look like. I also only used to use 1/2-inch foam, which is just too flimsy. Now I, will definitely use 1 inch. I'd love to use thicker, but it's on some things anyway, but it's very expensive. But to answer your previous question, so kind of tying back into your previous question, I would say at least maybe 50 total, also counting little things or, ones that I'm still kind of holding on to. I mean, I'd really have to take inventory, but Halloween, I have creepy women with a creepy kind of hanging woman with long black hair. That's probably the creepiest one I have. Clowns don't personally creep me out, but he's new. I have lots of funny pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns with weird faces. I have a pumpkin man who has a little vine growing out of his belly button. And then at Christmas, I've got a lot too. I have the Grinch and Cindy Lou and some, Whoville Who's. I have a big gingerbread house and lots of elves, several different Santas, Mrs. Claus, a whole under the sea area with squids pulling a submarine. Christmas, really, all you have to do is put a Santa hat on their head, and that makes it Christmassy.
We had a Santa hat on this guy back here last Christmas.
Nice.
That was, bit of innovation.
Yeah, that's really all it takes. I have a funny gargoyle that I've made. My all have similar styles, kind of, with they're very cartoony and whimsical. Some of my Christmas ones are a little more friendly looking, less creepy. They have more cartoony eyes, but they follow a similar style. Like I said about, not, at least with the foam, I don't do anything that's super realistic. That would require a different medium, probably.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to thank you for sharing your time and talent with us here on Count Gauntly's. As I said, we're down here in your home, but for opening your cave of art wonders to us. And my final question is, what lies ahead for you?
The next big projects would be Halloween. So I'm thinking one thing I wanted to get to last year that I didn't this year was an internet troll. So like a funny little troll, maybe sitting behind laptops or something. But, you know, also, I always try to keep a lot of those candy corns in stock that I mentioned. And so Halloween would probably be the next big project. But, you know, who knows? Things might arise that I'm not thinking of at the moment. So.
What would be the dream situation for you?
I'm looking into getting a farm, you know, leasing space on a farm where I can do haunted hay rides in a Christmas village. I love creating my own ideas and my own setup, you know, displays. You know, I don't mind and love doing things for other people, you know, making something and selling it. That's all well and good, but the best when I'm at my game is when I do my displays. So, and that's the most attraction, you know, that I get too when I set up. Everyone wants to come see it. So I want to do this on a farm where I can just go to the max. You know, it's not the front yard where you kind of have to suspend some disbelief. It'll be, you know, everything, you know, Halloween on one side, Christmas on the other, so I don't have to spend a month taking one down and putting the other one up. Just, you know, lots of houses, gingerbread houses you can walk through maybe, and then, you know, at Halloween, creepy trees and cemeteries and, you know, the sky's the limit. I guess whatever's on the land, and can use that. Sometimes you can use that to your advantage. You know, the lay of the land.
Well, power to you. I would certainly sign on to invest. You know, assuming you cede a little corner to Gauntly's crypt.
Of course, of course.
But that sounds fantastic, and I hope you achieve your dream.
Well, maybe it would be a good place to film from. You never know. Yeah.
It would absolutely be that.
All right.
So I'm going to go see if I can figure out where the Blizzard Wizard has wandered off to.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Maybe we'll see you at the holiday time.
Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Keep it real down here in your art cave.
All right.
Toodaloo.
I will.
Me, Lucky Charms, Lucky Charms. Yeah. Oh, taste the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Look! I finally found one. I finally found a real deal leprechaun.
Leave the golden hole.
Finally. And that's a St. Patrick's Day episode if I've ever seen one.
Okay.
Come with me to Ireland, that shamrock isle set like a sparkling jewel in a shimmering sea. 'Tis here that the air is filled with the music of countless waves playing on her rocky shore. Here, too, the lovely lakes at Killarney lie crystal clear in the sunshine, like huge mirrors reflecting the beauties of the countryside. And over all the land, from Kerry to Kildare, drifts the sweet sound of her singing brooks. The main occupation in Ireland is farming, and the good country folk work all the year round, cultivating their beloved national dish, corn, beef, and cabbage. Another well-known farm product is the Irish potato, easily recognized by its smiling Irish eyes. Erin's quaint seacoast towns are among her most picturesque sights. Here before us, we see the city of Cork. And here, leading to another city, is a highway celebrated in song and story, the rocky road to Dublin. One quaint sight found in every Irish town is the open marketplace, where villagers gather to sell their poultry, meat, and... Here now, what kind of a steak might this be?
Faith and bejabbers, ain't you never heard of the Irish sweepstakes?
The Irish are great lovers of music, and 'tis said that even the hidden creatures of the woodlands hurry out to listen when an Irish band strikes up a native tune.
on now, be jabbers. Join in with us and sing that good old Irish song, McNamara's Band. Just follow the bouncing shamrock.
Oh, my name is McNamara, and I'm the leader of the band. Although we're few in numbers, we're the finest in the land. We play at wakes and weddings and at every fancy ball. And when we play the funerals, we play the march from Saul. Oh, the drums go bang and the cymbals clang and the horns they blaze away. McCarthy pumps the old bassoon while I the pipes do play. And Tennessee, Tennessee, toodles the flute and the music is something grand. A credit to old Ireland is McNamara's band. Right now we are rehearsing for a very swell affair. It's the annual celebration, all the gentry will be there. When General Grant to Ireland came, he took me by the hand. Says he, I never saw the likes of McNamara's band. Oh, the drums go bang and the cymbals clang and the horns they blaze away. McCarthy pumps the old bassoon while I the pipes to play. And Tennessee, Tennessee, toodles the flute and the music is something grand. A credit to old Ireland is McNamara's band.
Oh, my name is Uncle Julius, and from Sweden I did come to play with McNamara's band and beat the big bass drum. And when I march along the street, the ladies think I'm grand. They shout, "There's Uncle Julius playing with an Irish band." Oh, I wear a bunch of shamrocks and a uniform of green, and I'm the funniest looking Swede that you have ever seen. There is O'Briens and Ryans and Sheehan's and Means, they come from Ireland, but by Yemeni I'm the only Swede in McNamara's band.
Oh, the drums go bang and the cymbals clang and the horns they blaze away. McCarthy pumps the old bassoon while I the pipes do play. And Tennessee, Tennessee, toodles the flute and the music is something grand. A credit to old Ireland is McNamara's band.
Okay, beautiful, great.
Wow,
That's
that
a
was
wrap.
really
Cut.
good.